Okay, so it's 8 o'clock. So if you're new to this, I suspect there's one or two of you are new, first time or second time here. You can meditate however you want. There's no rules. It's good to be comfy and alert. Those are the two things. So you can do this meditation lying in bed, lying on the bed, lying on the floor, sitting on a cushion or sitting on a chair. Whatever makes you comfortable. It's good to have a solid base if you're on a chair, and it's good to try and keep your posture fairly straight. The back, not too straight, not rigid, but the back sort of vertical, and the head just resting nicely on the top of the shoulders. I tend to go like this, I'm afraid. But it's quite good to have your head nicely balanced, because then it doesn't ache quite so much. And this morning we're going to, and if you're uncomfortable, move. That's the rule. It's not an exercise where we're just trying to just make ourselves do something. We need to be relaxed for this meditation. Good morning, Mette. So we're going to do the mindfulness of breathing this morning, and I'll just say a little bit about the mind. The mind is an annoying thing, isn't it? When you start meditating, you begin to realize just how much activity there is in your mind, and how it's always there and it's always getting in the way, and sometimes we just feel we need a rest from it, yet it won't stop. So the last thing we need to do is to try and make it stop. If we try and stop our mind forcibly, then we're just that's a bit more thinking. We're just thinking a bit more. And the mind won't stop forcibly in any case. So we have to be clever with the mind. The mind is very clever. The mind is very good at sort of sneaking in when we're least expecting it. So we have to be clever back with the mind. We've got to play the mind's game in a way. So what we do, those of you who've been coming a while know this, what we do is that we just notice the mind. We just notice what it does. So we get distracted by thought, and we notice, and at some point we come back. We get distracted, at some point we think, oh, we just notice we've been distracted. So that when we come back and notice that we've been distracted, that's what we're looking for. That's what we're after. That little moment of awareness, that mini moment of awakening, when we are here, completely here in the moment, and we clearly see that we haven't been here. So that's what we're looking for. And we might get distracted over and over and over again. And the practice is to patiently keep noticing that moment when we return. It's a little gem. It's so joyful. And just feeling joy. Don't get upset or irritated that the mind keeps dragging you away if you can avoid it. Don't get irritated by being distracted. Get joyful by coming back. Joyful by coming back. Oh, yes, I've been away. That's the bit we're after. And the more we can notice that, we start to stretch those moments. We start to stretch the moments between thoughts. And before we know it, well, maybe quite a while of practice, but eventually we get these gaps where there is no thinking, quite long gaps where there is no thinking, and the gaps keep getting longer. And if you keep practicing for many years, you might become a yogi or a yogini where you can sit without any thought. but we're not in that place to begin with, and I'm certainly not. So this practice, we're going to practice it now, the mindfulness of breathing. It's all about following the breath. So the breath helps us to, it anchors our mind a little bit. It helps our minds to settle a little bit. But the main practice, the two main practices, one, following the breath, and the second practice is just noticing this gap when you come back from being distracted, and not getting upset or irritated about being distracted, not thinking, oh, I can't do this. You might get distracted 1,000 times. Doesn't matter. It's not important. What matters is the 1,000th times you come back and see that you're being distracted. That's the practice. Good morning, Danira. Did I say that right? Danira? Welcome. It's good to see you all. So we'll begin in the usual way by settling in with a little bit of body awareness and just relaxing. So you might want to start by taking a few deep breaths. Just breathing in deeply, holding the breath for a couple of seconds, and then letting it all go right to the end, completely expelling it. Doing that a few times, 2 or 3 times. And just noticing how you are right now. How is your mind? Your mind might be chattering away, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with the mind chattering away. That's what the mind does. So all you're doing is noticing that. Just noticing the state of your mind as well. Are you feeling positive or negative or somewhere in between? You might be feeling very happy or very grumpy, and that's okay. Whatever you're feeling, good or bad, positive or negative, it's all right. That's where we're starting from. We're not beating ourselves up. We're not trying to be different to how we are. And how are you in your body? You relaxed or a bit tense, a bit achy, a bit tired? Again, however you are, just being accepting of that. It's just the truth. It's where you are right now. And just having a kindly awareness of whatever's going on in your body and mind and your emotions. Not trying to change anything. Just observing with a kindly eye. Bringing attention to the face, beginning with the forehead. Just relaxing the forehead, letting any frown drop out. Relaxing the muscles of the face, just letting them sag, letting the whole face sag. Just softening the face. Doesn't that feel better? And bringing attention to the upper body, at the front, the chest at the front, the sides of the chest, and the upper back. Just noticing the movement in all these areas. We don't often pay attention to this in our normal lives. Just noticing how when you breathe in, the lungs expand, they push the rib cage out. And the rib cage and the lungs are at both the front and the back of the body and the sides. So the whole of the circumference of the upper body expands and then contracts. And it's quite a lovely feeling if we can relax into it. You might also feel the breath coming into the inside of the body, down the throat and into the lungs. Just being as aware of that as you can be. Don't worry if you can't notice it. Just noticing this movement in the upper body. The body breathing itself. This is the mindfulness of breathing meditation, and it's in 4 stages. And in the first stage, we're going to count the out-breath, count each out-breath. We're going to follow each out-breath right from the beginning to the very end. And then if we wish, we can place a number at the end. So beginning with 1, and then after the next out-breath, right at the end, number 2, and so on up to 10. And then beginning again from 1. But the main thing is to follow each out-breath from the beginning to the end. And then if you wish, placing a number at the very end. And this gives us something to do to keep our mind occupied, to anchor us. And if you get distracted, which you will, just come back and start again, following the out-breath from the beginning to the end, and if you wish, counting at the end. Not getting worried or beating yourself up if you get distracted. It's what happens. Just valuing that moment when you know you've been distracted and then coming back to following the out-breath from the beginning to the end. Just following each out-breath. Just relaxing a moment, not doing anything, just noticing how you are, what's happening in your experience at the moment, in your body and mind. And then when you're ready, we're going to do exactly the same thing, but with the in-breath. So we're going to follow the in-breath right from the very beginning to the very end, each in-breath. And if you wish to count, you can count just before the beginning of each in-breath. 1, and then 2, and so on up to 10, and then beginning again. The main practice is to follow the whole of the in-breath each time, and not worry too much about the out-breath this time. Just following each in-breath. Just coming back each time you're distracted, just noticing that moment of coming back, that moment of awareness, of awakening almost. Just following each in-breath from the beginning to the end. And in the third stage, we're going to stop any counting if we've been counting, and we're going to bring our kindly awareness to the whole of our upper body to begin with. Just noticing this movement of the breath in the upper body, the expansion and contraction in the chest, in the sides of the body, and in the upper back. Noticing how as the lungs expand and push the rib cage out, the whole of the upper body expands and then contracts when we breathe out. Just noticing what that feels like. Noticing the rhythm. Noticing the sensations of the breathing in the throat and the body. And when you get distracted, just coming back to these sensations in the upper body, the whole of the movement, allowing yourself to become absorbed in it, in the experience, as much as you can. Just letting any thoughts go. And if there is a lot of thinking going on, try not to get into conflict with the mind. If you get into conflict with the mind, it just makes it worse. So just stepping back, just watching the mind as objectively as you can, just keeping on coming back to that special moment of awareness and coming back to the movements in the upper body. And in the fourth and final stage, we're going to move our kindly awareness up to the area around the nostrils or the upper lip, wherever we're breathing in, and just noticing the delicate sensations as the breath passes into the body and out of the body, brushing the nostrils or brushing the upper lip. What does that feel like? Really homing in there, just noticing this coming and going and the sensations it produces. Just keeping our attention on the nostrils or the upper lip. Just being open as much as you can to the whole of the experience around the nostrils and the upper lip. It's a rich field of feelings. And for the last couple of minutes, just letting go of all effort now, just sitting with whatever arises in your experience, not grasping hold of anything or trying to push anything away, just being there, noticing the whole of your experience. So I hope you enjoyed that, particularly if it's you've only just started meditating. And I would suggest for everybody, for all of us, including me, it's really good to keep remembering to come back to the moment, to this space between thoughts, all through the day. If we can keep doing it through the day when we're not meditating, it brings us into contact with our lives. We notice the present moment. We notice what's happening in our lives. We get so carried away with thinking about the past and planning the future, or being anxious or regretful, that we don't notice our lives. So the whole point of this is that it brings us into contact with our lives, with the moment of our lives. It makes our lives richer as well as calmer and more pleasant. So just try and notice during the day when you're distracted, and every so often just coming back to a moment of awareness or mindfulness, and just enjoying that, enjoying the sensation of being there, right there in your life. Okay, and it does get easier if you're just starting, so it just takes a little time. Okay, thank you all very much for coming. We do rely on donations to keep us going, so if you'd like to donate a small amount, we would be very appreciative. You can do that on our website. It's yorkbuddhistcentre.org. We don't have any other income really. Well, we've got our shop open today. That's another thing. You might come down and see our shop on Gillygate. We're opening this afternoon from 1:30 till 5. I'll be there, flogging stuff if I can. Anyway, thank you for coming, and see you again very soon, I hope. I'll be back tomorrow with self-care meditation, a meditation looking after ourselves, learning to love ourselves, learning to be kind to ourselves. It's a lovely, lovely meditation. So I'll see you if I can in the morning if you're around. Otherwise, just take care. Have a good day. Enjoy your day. Stay safe, and lots of love to you all. Bye.